Audiobooks are great to listen to in the car while you're driving. And Doctor Who, of course, is our passion here at Mark Who 42's WHOniverse. So we've set up something really special with Audible.com. If you go to audibletrial.com/markwho42, that's audibletrial.com/markwho42, you can get a free month membership with Audible.com, as well as a free download of any audiobook they've got. And they've got Doctor Who books. They've got a lot of good things there. So, you can listen to us definitely on your Bluetooth while you're driving your car. But if you want to listen to fiction, Doctor Who fiction, or any other book that's out there in audio format, go to audibletrial.com/markwho42 for our special. And now, here's our show.
Hi, this is Jason Connery, and you're listening to Mark Who 42 WHOniverse. Listen and learn more.
Mark Who 42 WHOniverse.
Greetings, listeners of Mark Who 42's WHOniverse. This is Eduardo-m-Freyre.
And Patricia Helm. I think you meant to say season's greetings at the beginning, right?
Season's greetings, happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Joyous Kwanzaa, Happy Life Day, Happy Time Day, Happy Festivus, Happy Quintus on Christmas, and any other seasonally appropriate holidays that I skipped. To any cultures,
you've covered them all.
Well, to any cultures that I didn't cover, much apologies. I don't want an email or a comment from a Dalek going, "You skipped Dalek Christmas. You skipped Dalek Christmas."
I can't even imagine what a Dalek Christmas would be like.
You are standing under the mistletoe. You are under the mistletoe. Kissing is required. Kissing is required.
Oh, so are you ready for Christmas?
I am ready for Christmas. And to all those listening on krypton-radio, we are actually taking a little bit of a holiday break, Mark, Christian, Trish, and I, but so that you are not deprived of some Whovian listening, we are giving you a special treat. This is an episode never before heard on Krypton Radio. We are presenting to you one of our awesomest interviews ever, in this case with Jason Connery. And before you say anything, yep, he is related to that Connery. He's his son, in fact.
He was very cool.
Yes, so in addition to having a familial connection to a certain British spy franchise, which shall remain nameless, I think it has something to do with numbers. What was it, 600, something 711, 711, I can't remember. But yes, in addition to his familial connection with that, he is connected to Doctor Who. He was in the classic series Vengeance-on-Varos, and he played the title role in a production called Robin-of-Sherwood. In fact, he was actually the second Robin-of-Sherwood. How is that possible? Well, you're just going to have to listen and find out.
That's right. Everyone, listen, listen, listen.
You're going to have to listen because we're not going to tell you.
No.
I will tell you this. We will be back with some brand new episodes starting in January.
Just to let you guys know, next week we will have a best of episode. But for you people on Krypton Radio, this best of is all new stuff because we've been doing our show for over 2 years now. And we've only been on Krypton Radio for about 4 months. So next week's episode will, in fact, be new for you. It'll have the best interviews, the best views and news and everything about our show. So don't forget to tune in next week. It'll be a brand new show. Unlike what Ed, I know you're trying to say that we'll be back in January, and we will. January, we'll have our review of the wonderful Christmas episode, and I'm saying it's wonderful, and we haven't watched it yet. We'll watch it tomorrow,
Yes, see, we're a lot cooler than the shows on TV who tell you they're going on midwinter break and then say, "We'll see you in March." Nope, you'll be able to listen to us starting in the first week in January. And we do have some really cool stuff coming up. We've got more interviews. I'm sure you guys remember the great interview we did with Tony Way. Well, we have some more Series 8 interviews coming up. Trish, should I tell them or should I keep it a secret and make them sort out until they hit?
Tease them. Come on, go ahead, tease them.
I will tease them. Yes, we do have some interviews coming up. I will tell you this. Once you hear who we're interviewing, you're going to be jumping straight to the moon.
Oh, God.
That's the only tease you get. So just work with that. And, of course, it goes without saying that we will be reviewing the episode Last Christmas. In fact, we have had news on Last Christmas, and hey, we will be coming back with news on Season 9.
Well, Last Christmas, apparently some people have been complaining that they think that this episode is too scary for kids. To which Moffat has responded and said, Doctor Who has always been scary. But he says it's not scary in like a horror movie type of scary. He compared it to being like on a roller coaster kind of scary, that it's thrilling more than scary.
So you get motion sickness and almost
Just when Moffat doesn't explain stuff, yes. But
I'll keep a bucket nearby.
I mean, from the trailer for Last Christmas, it does look like it's a little bit spookier than other episodes, but I think that's what everyone's expecting anyway, so I don't understand why people would be complaining.
Yeah. Not to mention that if you think Last Christmas is scary, go watch the episode Greatest Show in the Galaxy from the 7th Doctor era. A clown driving a funeral hearse, okay? A clown driving a funeral hearse, and he even has the little jacket with the tie and the hat and everything. He's driving a funeral hearse, okay? I win.
Well, I can't wait to watch the episode, and it's going to air on BBC America 9 o'clock on Christmas Day.
To all our American listeners listening on Krypton Radio, 9 o'clock tomorrow. Tell everybody I am watching Doctor Who.
The UK will be getting it much earlier than us, so stay off of the internet if you don't want it to be spoiled, because, you know, it's going to happen. It's going to be out there on Facebook and everywhere, so I would just stay off the internet until you watch it. That's what I plan to do.
I think I'm going to be busy unwrapping presents, watching my mom unwrap hers, saying Merry Christmas to the family. Yes. I may get on Facebook once to say Merry Christmas to my friends, and then to basically tell everybody, okay, get off of Facebook, go spend it with family. If I had access to her email, I'd even wish George Moffat Merry Christmas and Happy Birthday.
Yes.
You think that means she gets double gifts?
She better. I know people that have birthdays on the 25th, and their parents were always very careful about giving them separate birthday presents and separate Christmas presents, because they want, them to feel like their birthday is special just like everybody else. So I bet she does.
Well, not to mention her dad's Peter Davidson and her husband's David Tennant. I mean, I'm sure that...
Yeah, that's a present enough right there.
Oh, there you go. Well, not to mention, I'm sure that, David Tennant, hey, man, he's been working. I think he could probably, put a little bit of an extra little spin on it. Hey, if it were me, I'd be like, hey, you just went to America to do Grace Point. What, did they just pay you for airfare?
Did you see the thing about Grace Point? There was a little thing on the internet. Apparently David Tennant was being cute and funny on the set. He wrote out like some telephone messages for his character, Detective Carver, and they had it was like from Rose Tyler or from Martha Jones or from Donna Noble. He even went so far as to say he thought that maybe Grace Point was like an undercover assignment for the Doctor.
Wow, that is just one depressing undercover assignment.
True.
That is just, whoa. Although, I could see that as being a set with a lot of practical joking because, oh dear God. You would need to do some practical jokes. Okay, we're going to shoot the scene where they find the kid's dead body. It's like, yeah, I would... The minute the director yells cut, print, I'd be like, okay, everybody. So a chicken crosses the road and goes into a bar. You'd need something like that.
Oh, so I hope everyone enjoys the Christmas special. I'm sure it's going to be great.
Hey, I think we've got, in addition to the interviews coming up, and we'll be reviewing Last Christmas, and I know that there's some conventions coming up, SuperCon and, maybe a couple of others, and, well, we'll see what goodies we can get from that.
Oh, it'll be fun. Next year's going to be a fun year, I think.
Oh, yeah. I know February there are a couple of great episode ideas that I think everybody will enjoy. In fact, there's even an idea percolating for Valentine's Day that, it's certainly going to be different. You could even say it's the Doctor Who anti-Valentine's Day special.
That's all I'm going to say about that. I'm not going to say anything else.
And Doctor Who begins filming its 9th season next month, starting in January. But they did reveal the other day what the title of the first episode is going to be.
Ooh, what's the title?
It's going to be called The Magician's Apprentice. There's no description or anything.
I guess the bad guy is going to be in like a long blue robe with this, gray beard, and he's going to like have
that's the Sorcerer's Apprentice.
Ah, okay. So I guess in this episode, instead of animated brooms, it's going to be animated mops.
I don't know, but maybe it's a Houdini story. Maybe he.
Or you know what? Actually, wait, no, Trish, I got it. I got it. Okay, it's the 21st century. So you know what? We need to update it. It's not going to be animated brooms. It's going to be an army of animated Swiffers. The Swiffers are going to come after everybody.
Oh,
Lock your doors.
No. Take that back. Take it back.
Take it back?
Take it back. No.
It's not going to be Swiffers?
Take it back. No.
It's going to be Dyson vacuums.
No.
It's going to be Dyson vacuums. It's going to be Dyson vacuums, and the bad guy is going to have like that same sort of accent that the announcer for the commercials. Yes, and as you know, with the rollerball technology, it will swiftly conquer the universe, so you may as well surrender now. And notice that this increases suction. It is now sucking the life out of you.
No.
No?
Well, we'll just have to wait and see what the Magician's Apprentice, what it means. I've seen some people theorize that maybe it's a story about Houdini. I don't know. But then also, he made that little reference to his attire, saying that he... What did he say? He said he was going for minimalist, but he ended up with magician.
So maybe could it?
Maybe it's referring to himself. I don't know.
So could it be maybe referring to
a new companion?
Maybe.
I don't know.
Of course, that answer will probably be coming in about 24 hours or so.
Yes.
Hours a day.
Can't wait to see.
Can't wait to see. And on that note, we will leave you now, once again, by saying happy holidays, season's greetings, happy Klingon Christmas, happy Borg Christmas, if they have one, happy Cyberman Christmas, happy Centauran Christmas. Just whatever. We're
gonna be here forever if you start naming all the different species. just
you know what? Tell you what. No offense. Whatever you celebrate, happy that, and just try to avoid the malls on the 26th because that's when everybody tries to return stuff.
So now enjoy the wonderful interview with Jason Connery. We'll be right back.
Connery, the interview.
Attention all Whovians! While you're waiting for the new episode of Doctor Who, start your own adventures with a book from Mark Who 42 Books. They carry unique and rare books at affordable prices. Visit Amazon.com/shops/MarkWho42. That's Amazon.com/shops/MarkWho42. Mark Who 42 Books. Set your imagination free into the Whoniverse.
Are you looking for a weekly dose of gaming news and retro? And check out Off the Cuff, available Fridays on Geekcast Radio Network from the producers of XRG. New name, same.
Dr. Geek's Moment of Science. Here is the lab director and your human host, Dr. Geek. Madam Oracle here. I am the director of research for the laboratory. Dr. Geek could not make it today, so he asked me to fill in. For today's Moment of Science, I wanted to talk about language. While the Phoenicians made it look simple with their consonantal alphabet, creating a language is not as easy as it appears. Just ask mark-baumgarten, the creator of Vulcan, Klingon, and the Atlantean languages. Of course, my favorite constructed language is Esperanto. Created in 1887, the goal was to create an easy-to-learn, politically neutral language that would transcend nationality and foster peace and international understanding between people with different languages. It is estimated that there are approximately 100,000 to 2 million active or fluent Esperanto speakers worldwide. I think everyone will learn Esperanto in the future. It's so easy to understand. Let me demonstrate. Mi status aceti ci orangon, inflatiablo strando pilkon, kai la sitelo, kai fasilo. Well, maybe not. 1 orange inflatable beach ball, and 1 bucket and spade, coming right up.
This moment of science was brought to you by Dr. Geek's Laboratory of Applied Geekdom, a Brazen Wench production, copyright 2014, in association with this network.
Do you like retro shows? Did you grow up in either the 80s or the 90s? Then tune into Telecast, GeekCastRadio.com's newest podcast. Join us here on the Telecast as we revisit some of your favorite shows, such as Clarissa Explains It All, Salute Your Shorts, Saved by the Bell, and much, much more. Only on GeekCastRadio.com.
I'm Colin Baker.
This is Colin Spaulding.
I am Christopher Dane.
This is Andrew Cartmel.
This is Travis Ritchie.
I'm #1 New York Times bestselling author Tony Lee.
This is Ian McNeice.
Hi, I'm Daphne Ashbrick.
This is Gareth David Lloyd, Yanta from Torchwood.
My name's Fraser Hines, also known as Jamie McCrimmon.
This is Kai Owen.
This is Ingrid Oliver, a.k.a. Osgood.
I am Eric Loya. I play Boyish the Extraordinary on The Inspector Chronicles, untitled web series about a space traveler who can also travel through time.
This is Paul McGann, the 8th Doctor.
This is Paddy Hawkins here from the Geeks of Comedy.
This is Rob Shaban.
My name's Phil Nice.
I'm Simon Fisherbecker, known to many of you as Dorian Moldovar.
This is Dr. Scott Figuet, Dr. Geek of Dr. Geek's Laboratory.
This is Arlene Tour.
This is Peter Davison.
Hi, I'm Yi-Ji Cho. I played Chang Li in the Doctor Who movie. And I'd like to say happy holidays to everyone listening to Mark Who 42.
Welcome back to Mark Who 42's WHOniverse, Doctor Who WHOniverse, that is. I'm your host, Mark-Baumgarten, and with me are Trish Helm, Eduardo-m-Freyre, and Christian-basel. And we've got our very, very special guest, Jason Connery. Jason, hello.
Hello, hello. Lovely to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Well, thank you for coming on our show. You have a great history in very fanish productions, but before we start talking about them, tell us a little about yourself.
Well, I was born in London, but went to school in Scotland, and I have a little cottage up there, which I go to every a number of times a year. But I actually live in Los Angeles. As you know, I was acting and still act for many years, more than I care to say, but a lot. And now I'm directing more. I've directed 5 films, and in the last 6 years. I love to direct. I love to take stories from their, not conception perhaps, but certainly from an early point, and then work towards the idea of shooting them and them eventually becoming a film that people go and see. So that's what I've been doing. I have a 17-year-old son who, at this moment, thankfully not anywhere near my house, is practicing for a gig that he's going to do. And on the 27th here in Los Angeles, where we live. I think that I'll probably be going back to Europe more as he gets older. But I stayed out here to be constant in his life, and he's a great guy. His name's Dashel. And I have a cat called Midge.
Well, that's cute. Yeah. It's cute. Mine are called Zip and Zep.
There you go. Well, I have to say I've always been a dog person, but Midge is quite a character. For some reason, she got very sick when she was young, and she now has this thing where it looks as though she's had a couple of martinis because she's a bit wobbly on her back leg.
Those martinis were shaken, not stirred, though, right?
Oh, no.
I just had to throw it in. Because now, let me just say, Jason, I have to say, because you're talking about yourself, your father.
Yes.
What was it like growing up with James Bond as your dad?
Well, that's an interesting question because, obviously for me, he was just my father. And, that's how I saw him. And it really wasn't until I was at boarding school and the film started coming out on the television, because I was born in 1963 and he'd done Dr. No and a couple of others. And then I don't have very many memories, because 71 was when he did Diamonds Are Forever. So It was more when I was at boarding school and kids suddenly started saying to me, "Is that your dad?" I said, "Well, not really, but it looks a lot like him, but he's not like that at home." And then they'd say, "Doesn't your mum get upset when he's kissing those women and stuff?" And I thought, well, she probably does actually, yes. But he was just my dad, and we used to play, golf together and stuff like that. So I was more kind of shocked by seeing him on television than I was by thinking of him as James Bond, until after I saw that.
Later on, you actually got to form a connection with your father's iconic role by playing the man who created James Bond, Ian Fleming, in a TV movie. What was that like?
Well, I think Freud would have had a field day with that one. It was really great. I just took it as the role that I was going to play. I auditioned for it. There were a number of other guys that auditioned. I remember sitting in the room and feeling very nervous. And it may well have, in one respect, have been stunt casting, but I went for it, really, really enjoyed it, and they put a really nice cast around me. I really enjoyed David Warner and a number of the other actors that were in it. Of course, now their names have flown from my head. But it was one of those shoots which was just. It was directed by a guy called Ferdy Fairfax, who unfortunately has passed away now, but he was just very sensitive, and he wanted it to be fun, slightly tongue-in-cheek, slightly irreverent, and I just had a really good time on it. So it was great. I really enjoyed it, yeah.
Was acting your first career choice?
Well, when I first left school, I actually was a doorman at a nightclub in London called Tokyo Joe's, and I wasn't very good at it because I remember once there was an Aston Martin Lagonda, and I don't know if you remember that car. It was one of the ugliest cars ever built, and it was huge. And one of my jobs was to park, the VIPs' cars. And I got in the car, and everything was electronic. And when I shut the door, I had no idea how to start the car because there was no key. And there was just buttons, and there was no buttons that showed how to start the car. And I got stuck in it because I couldn't open the door.
It wasn't like the Batmobile where it has like ignition switch and you just press that button.
I have to this day, basically, it was so embarrassing because there were cars piling up behind beeping and I couldn't move. And I had to actually use the telephone in the car to call the club to get the head doorman out to come and tell me how the hell to get out of the car, let alone.
My.
And ironically, when I was doing the Ian Fleming film, the doorman never knew that I was Sean Connery's son, and he was an extra in the Fleming movie. And when I walked on the set, he didn't know that I was starring in the movie, and he walked up and said, "What the hell are you doing here? I didn't know you did extra work." And at that point, the director said, "Oh, Jason, can you come over here? We need you for the shot." And he was like, stood there with his mouth open. In answer to your question, yes, it was. It's really the only thing that I've done and wanted to do. I'm really intrigued by people and why people do things and how things have affected them in their life that make them make the choices they make. And, it's great to do that from an acting point of view, but it's wonderful also to do it from a directing point of view where you get to explore all of the characters and all of the story as opposed to one element of it. So, yes.
One of the reasons we've had you on the show is because you were on Doctor Who back in 1980, I think it was 1985, 1986. You played the role of Jandar in Vengeance-on-Varos. Was that your first role?
No, it wasn't my first role. It was my first time ever doing multicam, and it was my first time, obviously, in being involved in such a sort of prestigious, in one way, certainly long running, but it was very interesting. The director Ron Jones was up in the booth, and he would talk you through a speaker, which had never happened to me before. And, it was that interesting thing. I did actually watch part of an episode not that long ago. And what struck me as a few things. I mean, first of all, that I was... it's very difficult to watch yourself.
I do. I've done acting work, and yeah, I'm looking at it. And first of all, it's quite shocking to me that they made me married because I felt very young, and the idea of having a wife was quite startling to me. But what hit me about the acting was how incredibly kind of sincere I was. Doctor, we've got to get out of here, and I'll show you the way. And it was all very much like this, which they wanted me to play him as someone who's very determined, and I really enjoyed it. But the thing that watching it that was interesting to me was the fact that it's actually, I think, quite forward-thinking. I mean, the idea of watching a reality show where people, kill each other, I think is, I think it's kind of where we're headed.
Yeah, Philip Martin definitely wrote a very knowledgeable of the future episode.
I mean, and in contrast, I remember, there's that terrible golf cart that those guards traveled around, and he kept bumping into the sets, and the sets would move and wobble. And Owen Teale, who's a very handsome and wonderful actor from Wales, it was one of his first jobs, and he was playing one of the guards, the head guard, in fact. And every time he was in a scene, of course, he goes to the wardrobe fitting, and they say, well, you're wearing this, great outfit, and he's got this, looks like a sort of Third Reich uniform. And then suddenly they say, well, you're wearing this helmet, and he puts it on, and it goes right over his face, and all you can see is his chin. And, of course, he's devastated. And so in every scene he kept saying, Ron, I'd like to take the helmet off on this scene. Would that be? No, keep the helmet on, Owen. Fine. Take my helmet off. No, keep it. And the poor guy, he kept thinking, nobody's going to see me. I'm just going to be my mouth. And eventually he did get to take the helmet off. But I think Star Wars and all the special effects movies that came, they kind of, and now of course Doctor Who is as up to date as those are and were. But at that time, I remember coming round the corner on the corridor, and they said to me, the director said, "Okay, as you come around here, there's this hideous monster, and we're gonna put it in afterwards. Okay, so we'll just look up, and we'll put something there for you to look at, so you're all looking in the same place." So we come flying around the corner, and there's a grip on a ladder, and he's waving a piece of tape at us.
That sounds scary.
And it was actually quite scary, but it certainly wasn't what we were expecting. Of course, the first time we all burst out laughing because it just looked ridiculous. And he looked very bored and really didn't want to be there. And then when you eventually see it, it's like a giant fly. And of course, we're all going, "Oh my God, oh, it's hideous." And those kind of memories are just great. I cherish those times.
There was one scene in Vengeance-on-Varos where your character is chained up to the wall. They have you shirtless, and you're getting tortured with, I guess, some sort of laser apparatus thing. Do you ever have female fans, coming up to you and, talking about that scene and maybe asking why you couldn't have stayed shirtless for a little while longer?
Yeah, Jason the sex object. Yeah.
Well, look at the Doctor. It was the sixth Doctor. I don't think we want that. No offense to Colin Baker, but
well, I mean, it was quite fun. The thing that's great about Colin is he makes a lovely atmosphere on the set, and he's very relaxed, and he was always taking the mickey out of me or taking the mickey out of Nicola-Bryant, and she certainly had a lot of male fans.
Oh, the sex appeal, the two sex appeals of Nicola-Bryant, yeah.
Yes. Well, that in itself was, the endless sticky tape that was brought out, and because of her lycra top. It was so funny, and she'd have to disappear all the time because and the BBC kept saying we need the studio to be warmer.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
We actually had a prior guest named Patrick on, and he said when he thinks of Nicola, thinks of two things, and I think we busted right there.
Well, anyway, Colin is lovely, and I remember doing that scene quite well, and I was being laserized and having moved from side to side, and basically they were flashing a sort of purple light on me and saying every time, this is when it hits you, this is when it misses you, move to the side, and at that time you certainly don't feel like a sex symbol. You feel like someone who's basically trying desperately to understand what they're trying to tell you to do. But I have, when I was doing Robin-of-Sherwood, quite often that particular photo of me with no shirt on would turn up amongst other photographs that came in to be signed. And while, when Robin-of-Sherwood and Doctor Who came out, and it wasn't that far apart, certainly I got a lot of mail. In fact, my postman told me that he would no longer deliver my mail, that I actually had to go and collect it from the post office, and because he was sick and tired of carrying all this stuff, and basically unless I paid a subsidy to him, he wasn't going to deliver it. So that actually happened. I had to go to the post office every day and get my own mail, but that photo has in fact, recently we just did the 30-year anniversary of Robin-of-Sherwood, and that photo turned up quite a lot.
Put on your Facebook for Throwback Thursday right there.
Yeah.
Actually, just for giggles. I feel bad because I always do these little teasers for each episode, and that's the photo. So I'm like, now I'm wondering, should I run back and get something else, or?
I think what was nice about as I say, working on Doctor Who was actually how relaxed Colin made the set, and you didn't get much time to shoot stuff, and I was quite green, and when you've got scenes on multi-camera, and they're cutting, and you can find yourself doing very long scenes in one take. And he was just wonderful at keeping everything flowing and everybody feeling good about what they were doing. It was a real joy to work on. I obviously when you do something like that, you don't think of it in kind of, I'm part of a kind of iconic show. It just felt like something where, you go in and it's just a really nice job.
We've actually had Colin Baker on a previous podcast. We've also had Nabil Shaban on a previous podcast. First of all, were you a big fan of Doctor Who before your appearance as Jandar? And what was the like working on the set with Nabil?
Yes, I was a fan. I had when I was about 8 years old, there was I think it was 8 or something, or 10 maybe a bit older. There was a girl at my school called Rosalind Murray, and she used to give me her sandwich at lunch break, so I liked her a lot.
Aww.
And then I used to invite her to my house to watch Doctor Who. And it was a sort of double-edged sword, because in inviting her, of course, I wanted to show her that I wasn't scared at all by any of it. But in reality, I was very scared, especially by the Cybermen for some reason. They really, that whole heavy breathing thing and that noise, and I don't know why, they really scared me. And so I would sit there pretending to her that I was cool as a cucumber, but in fact was not at all. And I love to watch the show. I mean, to this day, I really quite like being scared, in the context of watching a movie and the tension that can mount up on it. And, for me at that age, Doctor Who had, really scary elements. And certainly even when doing the Vengeance-on-Varos, Nabil was fantastic. First of all, I loved the fact that he just absolutely embraced playing that part. And he's an outspoken guy. He's he's, I'm sure you've all seen his rants on Facebook. And I've spoken to him a few times, and he really embraced it. He had that little suit that he put on, and he'd go out there and do that laugh.
Got it right this time.
Yeah, and he was fantastic. I thought that perhaps they would bring him back somehow, because he just, for me anyway, I thought he was great. Yeah. Yeah, and we got on very well.
You said that you were a fan. Who was your doctor?
Tom Baker.
Tom Baker.
Yes.
Yes.
Best ever.
Down boy.
Nice.
Yeah.
Wait.
Oh boy.
I mean, there was a little bit. What I loved about Tom Baker was that he has that slight madness. I think he genuinely is a little bit bonkers. So I think and there's a side to the Doctor that I really felt like had that element, and I really enjoyed his Doctor for sure.
Did you watch it from the beginning when it came back in 2005? Were you excited for it to come back?
Yeah. Funnily enough, I actually auditioned for the Doctor Who film that eventually, the sort of comeback, which I think it was Paul McGann.
Yes.
Yeah, I auditioned for that, and actually really sucked in my audition.
Oh no!
Which was upsetting, because I really wanted to do a good job, and sometimes you don't, and I just didn't. I really wanted to do it. I thought it would have been really good fun, and I think I unfortunately got overexcited and tried too hard, and unfortunately it didn't happen, which was a shame. But these things happen. I remember kind of beating myself up about it, and as I say, these things happen. Now, I auditioned actually here in Los Angeles. Anyway, I didn't get it, and but I'm it was great when it came back. I am actually the other person who I did see for sometimes Doctor Who as well was John Pertwee, who I thought was good too, but Tom Baker was my favorite.
Now, you were saying that Paul McGann, you auditioned for the part that Paul McGann got, but actually, from what I understand, when you were auditioning for Robin-of-Sherwood, so was Paul McGann.
That's right.
Paul was auditioning for your part.
That's right. Actually, yes, I never thought of that. So I suppose he probably curses my name as well. But yes, he did. There were a number of people that auditioned at the same time, and I went off to Australia so that I wasn't sitting there waiting by the phone. It was it was one of those things where every time the phone rang, I kept thinking, I wonder if that's them, because they definitely said, we'll be in touch. And then finally, when my agent did ring and said, I'd like to speak to Mr. R. Hood, I said, I'm sorry, you've got the wrong number, and put the phone down. And then she rang back and said, no, you idiot, they've offered you the part.
Yeah. Robin of Sherwood was a great show, and you played the part of Robert of Huntingdon, because Robin Hood actually got killed off. Michael Praed got killed off, and then they needed to bring him back, so they brought you in. What was it like replacing Michael Praed on the title role of Robin of Sherwood, which was, of course, called Robin Hood in the United States, for those of you who are sticklers?
Yes. Yeah, I think it showed Showtime here.
Yeah, watched it every Monday night at a party. It was great.
Oh, well, good. They just had a 30-year anniversary, and it was very moving for me, because I hadn't thought of the show particularly, and to see all of these people, I have to say I got a little bit tired of people saying, "Oh, I used to watch you when I was 8."
I was like 18 or 20 or something.
Okay, well,
so it's fine.
That makes me feel bad. But
you're not much older than I am, actually, if you think about it. You're only 4 years older than me.
At the time, of course, when you're 22, it just seems so bizarre to me that it was 30 years ago. It's just weird. But anyway, I will say one thing. Years ago, I did a film with Michael Caine, and we went to Fort Lauderdale, and Roger Moore gave him a sort of award for lifetime achievement at the Fort Lauderdale festival. And I'll never forget Michael coming up to do his speech, and he said, and I won't try and do his voice, but I'm watching all this, and there was a retrospective of all his work over the years, and obviously it started with him when he was very young up until the then today. And he said, I've realized what getting old is. It's actually your face melting. And then there was this pause, and then everybody was just like, oh, my God. Because actually, when you watch the retrospective of his face, it went from being sort of, this young, tight-skinned face, and then as he got older and older, his face just slowly sort of melted down. So I remember thinking, oh, that is sad but true. Anyway, I digress. Yeah. What was wonderful was I really, really enjoyed the guys who played the Merrys. They thoroughly embraced me. They immediately started taking the piss out of me. I hope I can use that word. They were, what was wonderful was that I was Robert of Huntingdon. I wasn't Robin of Sherwood or Robin of Locksley.
Right, because they killed him off in the last episode of season 2.
Yes, well, basically, he went off to play D'Artagnan on Broadway, and his first entrance was on a white horse, and he thought, I'm never going to be asked to do that again, so I'm going to do that. And unfortunately, the show didn't last, and then he went and did Dynasty and all of that, or Dynasty. But what was lovely for me was the fact that I wasn't playing a sort of he looks completely different, but he's the same guy.
Right, you weren't a Time Lord. You just didn't, or like your dad, James Bond, changing. You played a completely different character.
Right, and so, I had long talks with Kip Carpenter, the writer, and we really worked through the idea of who I was, because there were actually two. Well, in fact, there were more than two, because there were times where Robin Hood was claimed to have robbed someone in Liverpool, and then down in Cornwall, 6 hours later or 3 hours later. And so, the feeling was that there were a number of people who claimed to be Robin Hood, or groups that claimed that they, knew who Robin Hood was. And one of them was Robin of Locksley, but another one was the Earl's son, Robert of Huntingdon. And so, that was the story. And, that we worked hard as well as having Marion not just say, oh, the old one's dead, I'll get on with this guy.
Well, right, because she was married to Robin. Wasn't she? She was married, and then he dies, and then you come in, and she put herself into a nunnery or something.
That's right.
Yeah. Some people may not know about this show, Robin of Sherwood. Can you tell us a little about it? What makes this show different from other portrayals of Robin Hood? What made this show special?
The thing that made the show special, it was very much of its time, but it was also very different from a lot of other shows that were playing at the time. Clannad did the music, and they have a very...
I love it.
Yeah, very folklore, very a sort of esoteric feel. And there was a character called Herne the Hunter, who was a sort of representative of the magic in the forest. And there was an ethereal element to the show, which I think worked very well. But and it was Kip was a fantastic writer, because what he did, he took historical events and he melded them together, and he just told very good stories with wonderful characters. And you sort of had the central element of the Merry Men and Marion, and then you had other people who came in to the stories that sort of were the catalyst to the stories being told. And it just had and of course you have, the Sheriff of Nottingham, Guy of Gisborne, and he used to put twists in, for instance, for my character, because Gisborne came from aristocracy, I found out at the moment when I'm wanting to kill the Guy of Gisborne that he's in fact my half-brother. And stuff like
I remember that.
Which really, opened doors to looking at different elements of the character's journey. And I think the show just captured a sort of romantic, slightly esoteric time that people could sit around with their family and all together enjoy it on different levels. So in that sense, listening to people talk about it, that's very often the case of how it was watched.
All I know is now when I take my next selfie, I'm just going to take a picture of Droopy Dog, and it'll have a little tagline that says, "Thank you, Michael Caine."
He's a funny man.
You've done some American productions, some American films. You did Shanghai Noon.
Yes.
Which had Jackie Chan and Owen Wilson. Your character's more in the beginning of the film, but did you get any chance to interact with any of the main actors?
Oh, yeah. When you do a film of that size, you're around for a lot longer because the shoot is considerably longer. Jackie is a fantastic guy. I mean, he has energy like you cannot believe. And his sort of eye as far as how he sees fight scenes is just extraordinary. And he has a group that he works with who no company will insure, and so he insures them himself.
Wow.
And they talk about doing things that you think that they're joking. You think you can't be serious. You're going to actually do that. And he does. And he's quite very, very charming and a great energy on the set. I didn't work as much with Owen because the scenes that he had were I wasn't around as much. And my claim to fame on that film is to be killed with an oyster shell in the throat, because there's not many people can say that.
I remember that. What a way to go.
The tough thing for me about that film was the fact that there was Jackie is a huge star, obviously, and we were given access to the Forbidden City. And we were going to shoot for 10 days with a skeleton crew with Jackie and Lucy Liu and me and a skeleton crew. And right before we were going to do it, the Americans managed to blow up the embassy in somewhere like Belgrade, the Chinese embassy, and they said it was by mistake, and they had old maps or something bizarre happened. And basically, the Forbidden City said no Americans were allowed to come in. And so suddenly the production was, it was a Disney production, and so they said, okay, we're going to shoot in Calgary on an ice rink. And I was like, really?
That doesn't make sense.
Well,
okay, then.
Obviously, they didn't show the ice. They covered the ice, but the ice rink had a sort of slightly Asian flavor to it, and they dressed it up to look like a temple. But it was so depressing because, the one big thing for me that I was so excited about was to go off and see the Forbidden City that nobody really gets to see. And it never happened. I'm sitting in Calgary, and I thought, not that I don't like Calgary, but it's a whole different ballgame. So that was a bit depressing. But I really enjoyed the film. It was fun. The guy Roger Juan played the guy that kills me, and he was lovely to work with.
Nice.
You've also done television. You did Smallville.
Yes.
And I see that your character was an aide to Lionel Luthor. Something that struck me is you only appeared in 3 episodes, 2 in season 1, and then 1 in season 2. And I found myself thinking, this character seems like somebody who should be around more.
Yeah, you definitely should have had a longer life on that show. What the heck? What happened? Was it originally supposed to just be a small part, or was it supposed to be longer?
I don't really know what happened, to tell you the truth. It's slightly. I would prefer not, in a way, to. There was a problem with one of the other actors for me, and or not for me actually, for him for some reason, and it was a bit bizarre. So I think it may have been to do with that, but it was odd because certainly I think I was meant to be in quite a few more, and there was when you come into a show as a recurring star on the show, you very much don't know what's going on in the background, and certainly something did go on in the background, and I'm not quite sure what it was, but that was upsetting because I enjoyed playing Dominic, and I had fun on the whole, but that was probably one of the only productions where there seemed to be a problem with someone, and I didn't quite know where that came from.
Wow.
That's about as much as I can say about that.
Yeah.
That's fine. Hey, that's fine. We're a Doctor Who podcast. We're not an expose.
Yeah, we're not going to.
What are the problems on the set of Smallville?
No.
Yeah.
I was just thinking. You said that Disney wanted to film on an ice skating rink. I got to think about Disney on Ice. So
So why didn't they make Jackie Chan Disney on Ice? That would have been great. No.
Kung Fu on Ice.
I say it was on ice. I mean, basically, it was to do with the building. They obviously didn't need the ice, and so they covered it up. But I mean, again, as I say, it was when we were talking about the part, I was saying, well, I haven't really got much to do in it, and they said, yeah, but you're going to go off to the Forbidden City, and I thought, oh, you know what, that would be fantastic.
It would have been. That would have been cool. That would have been excellent.
Yeah.
Well, hey, you still got a very memorable death.
Yeah,
that's true.
Jason, did you watch the 50th anniversary special of Doctor Who?
No, I didn't. It's interesting because there was also the 50th anniversary of James Bond too, and I didn't get to watch that either. So I haven't done well on 50th anniversary. So, and actually, I haven't. I watched the show a couple of times with David Tennant and also with Matt Smith, but I haven't done that thing which I probably will do of sitting down and watching a whole series.
You plan to do that?
Netflix.
Netflix, yeah, that's what Netflix is for.
Exactly.
I would recommend Jason that what you do to catch up, because Series 8 is coming in a couple of months, is that you watch the last 3 episodes, Name of the Doctor, the 50th Anniversary Special, Day of the Doctor, and Time of the Doctor.
Right.
Yeah. The other Doctor series.
At least get caught up on that, especially because Day of the Doctor, I don't want to ruin it, but judging from our Doctor Who conversations, there's a scene in Day of the Doctor that I'm sure you'll love. I mean, I loved it.
Yeah, let's be cryptic. Let's be so cryptic.
Well, I don't want to ruin it for the man.
Okay.
I don't want to ruin it.
No
he hasn't
spoilers.
seen it.
No spoilers.
No spoilers.
Okay.
I'm sure
boat sinks.
Peter Capaldi is going to be great too. I mean, he has that slight madness going on as well, which I think is just such a wonderful element to have for someone who's playing Doctor Who.
Yeah, I can't wait.
Jason, what do you appreciate better, acting or directing?
Well, that's a good question. I really enjoy acting. I think that when I was in Europe, I used to do a lot of theatre. I really enjoyed taking a part, a character, and working on it, and working with the other actors. And it's a very group orientated activity, in the sense that you're all aiming for the common goal, which is, to create a show that people come and watch and enjoy, obviously. And a film is a very different process as an actor, which I enjoy very much as well. You have much less control as a film actor. You know that the camera films you, and that's your part done, in essence. I think that I lost a little bit of my joy of acting after being in LA for a time. Certainly, I didn't do theatre. Theatre here isn't really taken as seriously. Everybody is wanting to do television or film, and very often an actor will come in and rehearse, and then won't be able to do the show, and suddenly you're working with someone who's on a book, and it just it doesn't pay well. There's no such thing as repertory theatre, or if there are, there's Pasadena Playhouse and a few, but very few. And there are some theatres that you can work in here, but very often the shows are brought in from out of town. So I started to look at the idea of telling the whole story, and I went off and I raised $200,000 to go and shoot a film called Pandemic. And it was very scary. We shot it in Arizona. It was scary, but it was also, I found it fascinating to take a story and in its whole entirety, and to tell it, work with the actors, which I love to do because I teach acting, and also I really feel like I love the idea of delving into characters, and that's where the theatre work helped. And I know that actors respond well if they feel as though they're being understood and heard. So they're very different. I recently have started acting a little bit more, and having been away from it slightly, I'm really enjoying the process. I think I would love to be able to do both. They're wonderful in different ways. Certainly, directing a movie is a much more arduous process because you're part of everything, and in fact, you're the kind of focal point of everything. Because ultimately, the story you're trying to tell affects all of the people who are trying to help you tell it, and so they need to understand what it is that you're trying to show or say, or in the particular story. So at the end of the day, I would say that in a way, I love them equally. Certainly, acting is part of making a whole film, and I love the idea of only, in a way, having the work to do on one character as opposed to telling the whole story. When I do tell the whole story, that's a fantastic process too. So I'm on the fence.
Oh, okay. Jason,
go either way.
Yeah, go either way. Jason, I'd like to let you know that we really appreciate you being on the show. I want you to tell us about what you're doing now. What's going on now? What can you plug? What can you tell us is going on in Jason Connery's future?
Well, I've been auditioning for some acting work, which hopefully will come to fruition. I shall put it on your Facebook page as soon as I find out.
Excellent.
But I have I have a number of projects. What I did realize over the time that I've been directing is that you have to have your fallback projects, because if you throw all your eggs in one basket, this business is so topsy-turvy, you never know, especially in financing and everything. Right. So, but I have a particular project that I absolutely love, a fantastic story set up in Scotland. We're shooting St Andrews in Fife, very near my cottage, actually, which is nice. And it's about Tom Morris and his son, Tommy Morris. And for the golfers amongst us, they'll know that Tom Morris was the patriarch of golf. He was the greenskeeper at St Andrews, and his son, Tommy, won the World Championship 4 times, extraordinary golfer, winning it the first time when he was only 16 years old. It was the very, very early days, and Tommy Morris, in a way, was the sort of Tiger Woods of his time, and he was really the first professional athlete who toured the country, and people would watch him wherever he went, and he became inordinately successful. So a lot of the golfers of today have him to look at for that. But this story it's a story of a family drama, and it's an extraordinary story. And I'm just so excited to be able to tell it. There is actually a website called tommyshonor.com. You can put honor with a U, as you do in England, or without a U. But it's a fantastic story, and I'm very excited about that.
Wow, we'll have to look out for that. You also have your own website?
Yes, jasonconnery.net, which has my acting reel, but also my directing reel, and you can see all of the things to do with Tommy's Honor and the other projects, Lion's Den and To Catch a Tiger, and various other projects that I'm doing. So yes, thank you. That's true. That is there as well.
Well, definitely we'd like to thank you very much for coming on our show. We really appreciate it, Jason.
Well, thank you. It's been fantastic talking to you guys, and I know that you have a huge following on Facebook, and I shall be one of those followers. So,
thank you very much.
Awesome.
I look forward to hearing all of the things that you're doing.
Well, thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, Jason Connery. Our show is over for this week. I think we had a great time, didn't we?
Yeah, it was awesome.
Oh, yeah, no.
Go to our Facebook page, Mark Who 42's WHOniverse, and check in and see what the hoopla is about. Tweet us at MarkWho42. Go to our website, markwho42.net, and join the WHOniverse Army. We had a lot of people joining up today. It was amazing.
This army is growing.
Thank you, Bane.
It is getting ever larger.
He's the bane of our existence, that Bane.
You thought I had disappeared, but you were mistaken.
listen to our old shows on iTunes, on the Stitcher Radio app. Go to FloridaGeekScene.com. Go to GeekCastRadio.com, to the Geekcast Radio Network, our proud network. That's about all the time we have on today's show. I know that Christian has to go. Christian's got somewhere to go, and so we've got to end the show. Oh, I rhymed. That's about time that I rhymed.
Not a fan of the ladies, are you, Baumgarten?
I'm a great fan of the ladies, Sean. I don't know why we have Sean showing up on the show all the time. I want to thank our special guest, Jason Connery, once again for coming on our show. Until next time, so long. Mark Who 42's WHOniverse has been written and presented by Mark Baumgarten, Patricia Helm, Eduardo-m-Freyre, and Christian-basel. We'd like to thank our special guest, Jason Connery, for being on our show. This show was edited, produced, and directed by Mark Baumgarten. Please visit markwho42.net and register to join and be a part of the WHOniverse Army. We can also be heard on iTunes, the Stitcher Radio app, World of Who, Podkicker, GeekCastRadio.com, and FloridaGeekScene.com, as well as many other places. Tweet us at MarkWho42 and check out our Facebook page, Mark Who 42's WHOniverse. We can be contacted by email at mark@markwho42.net with the subject line question mark. Doctor Who and its properties are owned by the BBC, the British Broadcasting Corporation. This podcast is owned and copyrighted by Mark Baumgarten, 2014.